Yes, that's right.
Well, it's a little better. All right. Well, as you can see, the audience, I think you liked it. And for most people, it's a return visit. What is it about this movie that, some movies you love, you see them and then you're like, okay, I saw it, it's great. But for this one, people just want to come back and back and see it again and again. And I'm one of them. So what is it about it?
I think the right answer should come from the person who saw it 14 times. Because see, as a film director, you obviously want your film to be seen by many people many times. But what exactly that clicks with them, why they want to see it again and again, I really don't know. I wish I could say that, but I really don't know. But I'm sure absolutely happy about it.
Excellent. Well, obviously, when you made this, you knew it was going to be a success in India. You got two of the biggest stars. You've made some popular films in the past as well. But the international response has been unlike anything recently. Here in the States, there are movies from other countries that do well here, but they don't become a sensation like this. Was this ever part of the dream? Did you think this could be a possibility?
Absolutely not. See, any creator would agree a good story is a good story across the globe for any race, for any language, for any people. But the sensibilities would change from region to region, place to place, country to country, like that. I always believed that my films would work for all the Indians across the world. My previous film, Bahubali, also did work well to an extent. Worked to an extent in Japan. So I thought, okay, I can make films for Indians, and I also can make films for people to the east of my country. But I never thought I would appeal to the sensibilities of the West. So after the initial run of the film was over, when it was re-released again by various films, I initially thought, okay, these people are a little over-ambitious, but okay, they are going to increase it. Let's see what happens. And when it started getting the visibility, when the tweets started appearing, first in tens, then in hundreds, then the celebrities, the writers, directors, everyone started tweeting about it. Then I thought, okay, then I can also make films to Western sensibilities. So only with this film, I came to know something about my film that I never knew before.
Excellent. Well, there have only been, shockingly, 3 Indian movies that have been nominated for an Academy Award. And Satyajit Ray did get an honorary Oscar. And it's been 21 years since Lagan. People have seen Lagan? Lagan is a masterpiece. Lagan is wonderful, and it was nominated, but it's been 21 years, and you were a very humble man, obviously. You would never say this, but I certainly believe that 21 years is long enough for an Indian film to not get nominated for an Academy Award. And, these things happen from the grassroots up. So I declare that the IFC Center in New York City is officially the kickoff of the campaign to get this film nominated for an Academy Award. Everybody here in this audience, whether it's hashtag Oscar or whatever it is.
It's RRR for Oscars.
RRR for Oscars. Okay, that works too. That's whatever it is. The people have the power, as Ram and Beam have shown, and we've got to make it happen. You would be happy to come back to Los Angeles and give a speech, right?
Absolutely, why not?
Fantastic. Well, in a little bit we are going to kick it off to the audience, and if you've got any questions. But before we do, I just want to touch on a couple things about the film. Number one, the title. Now, I understand that the title began when you didn't have a title yet, and it was a play on the initials from the 3 names, the names of your 2 stars and yourself, and it went out as a little piece of marketing, and then it just kind of stuck. and in different languages it means different things. Do I have that correct? Or?
Yeah, like you said, people has the power. So initially we didn't have the title, and because we had to refer, we just put it as like hashtag RRR, initials of myself and my stars. But people thought it was the title, and they confirmed it is the title. So we said, no, wait, this is not a title. This is, but we already declared it's a title. So we had to run a campaign for the people to expand the title in different expansions in different languages. But to keep it simple, we just named it RR.
Well, so in English, of course, it's, and I forget myself, so I have to, it's Rise, Roar, Revolt, which of course is perfect, because you got a tiger in there and everything. But can you tell me what some of the other languages, what it was? I'm just curious if you...
I think I forgot myself.
All right.
It's basically blood, red, and revolution. It's like not exactly the same thing, but it means the similar.
Got it. Well, it works either way. Well, I'm also, I just found out that, you know, you made the film and co-wrote it with your father, which, I mean, for the movie is about family and about, you know, fathers. It's this important father and son element in this. I don't know how much shooting he showed you how to do as a kid, but can you talk a little bit about working with your father and what it's like for that relationship and to bring this to the screen?
I mean, my family has been into films before I came into films. My father is a noted film writer in my Telugu language films. Initially, I was doing nothing. I was very lazy at home, doing nothing, and my father was getting irritated and he asked me, you figure out something. You can't just sit idle at home. So he was constantly nagging me as I thought, okay, I have to say something, otherwise he'll keep nagging me. I said, I'll become a director. I absolutely had no idea what a director does or how I become a director. But he took it seriously and said, okay, then if you have to become a director, it is better you learn the craft and you know the know-how of different stages of filmmaking. So he put me as an assistant in an editing room, as an assistant in the recording theater. Likewise, I also worked as an assistant director, and my father used to come home and narrate the stories that he was working upon, and I used to give suggestions, saying, this correction would make it more dramatic, or that kind of thing. And he thought, okay, I had some sense of dramatics, and he made me work under him as a writer for 5 to 6 years. Then I became a director. I think that was the last time I listened to him. After I became a director, I made him listen to me. He still listens to me because he's the, in the unit as a director, I'm the elder, even though he's my father. So I make him listen to me. That's a great feeling for any son, I guess.
That's a nice twist. Oh shoot, what was I going to say? Oh yes. So when you're working on the script, I mean, when I think of this film, I think primarily of the amazing images. You know, iconic shots that are now historic in cinema. The shot with the animals coming off the truck is chiseled in rock forever. 100 years from now, they'll be talking about that. The shot with the flag, when they're on the shoulders. And how long was he on his shoulders for? How many days of shooting was he on his shoulders?
I think we shot for about 12 to 14 nights.
Wow. Did they ever get annoyed with each other after 14 nights of him on the shoulders?
I know, luckily, they didn't get annoyed with each other. I would get annoyed with them sometimes, but they never with each other.
So these iconic images from this film, do you come up with the images first and then figure, I got to work this into the script, I got to figure out how to build it? Do you have these revelations, or does it happen just sort of on the set? You're figuring, oh, we could do something and shoot it from this angle. Tell me a little bit about.
No, the iconic images comes first, even before the story. After a basic line, for example, if we talk about RRR, the basic line is like, okay, let's get these two freedom fighters together whom they never met in their real life. Let's weave a fictional story about them. And initially they can be against each other, and then they can fight together against the common enemy. That's a basic line. So once that line comes into discussion between me and my father, the way I work is I look for those iconic images or scenes. So number of things crop up in my mind. I try to figure what kind of iconic images will sit into this kind of storyline. And my father has a very good knack of building a thread which will weave through all these, let's call them pearls. Okay, so he has knack of weaving a storyline which goes through all these pearls, and it becomes a necklace. So that's how it happens. But I need to have that iconic image. I need to get it in my head. I need to get it on paper with my concept artist, make it absolutely iconic, iconic in terms of every aspect, and then work the scene towards that, build the scene towards it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of what makes this work so well is when these big iconic moments happen, you say, aha, that's why he was carrying meat through the street an hour ago. Of course he was, I get it. So let's see if we've got some questions from the audience. There's a hand over there in the back. If you just want to stand up and shout it out. Yes, you.
Hi, how are you? I'm Jordan. First of all, just wanted to say, to answer your question, this is the 7th time I've seen this movie. And the reason people keep rewatching is because it's absolutely incredible. And it's like the most rewatch value of like any movie I've seen in a decade. But I guess my question is, were there any ideas or like set pieces or iconic images that you wanted to include that ended up getting scrapped? Or were you able to include everything in the movie?
It's impossible to include all the, please, it's impossible to include all the iconic images that come into mind. Probably 20% of them finally make it to the screen. There will be many scenes that don't come through. The one immediate thing that comes to my mind is like in one of the Nat Geo videos or something, I saw a snow leopard chasing its prey down a steep cliff. I thought that was great. I wanted to have that kind of scene for Beam running on the boulders and running down so quickly that the Britishers can't fire at him, can't take an aim. That was one of the images that I had in my mind. I really wanted to work on it, but couldn't. I mean, like that, there will be many sequences which didn't make the final cut. Not the final cut, I mean, we didn't go into shooting itself.
Question in the back. Oops, all right.
Hi, my name's Phil. I just want to say, and I don't know if I can speak on behalf of the entire audience, but you brought magic back to cinema.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Now, this is one of the greatest movies like unironically, greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. Because of how cinematic it was. I guess where do you find your inspiration from? Because you have such a rich imagination. And do you have any advice for people who are like trying to tap into like their own rich imagination?
Okay, I don't know, there can be different places, you can point out different things which really fire your imagination. For example, I can say me sitting in the audience and as my film is playing, and when the audience erupt in laughter or clapping or gasping, sometimes they don't need to be vocal about it. You can feel the energy in the room. So as I'm writing the scenes or creating those iconic moments, a part of my brain keeps seeing that with the audience. I imagine, I daydream. I daydream that audience are responding to my scene in a certain way, and that really inspires me to go out and make the film to reaching that point. That is once the image comes into my mind. But what inspires me to get those images into my mind, I don't know. I can say in a way that the stories that I read from my childhood, the stories that were put into my mind by my elders, by my father, my grandfather, my grandmother, my brothers, my uncles, everyone. India is a crazy place where everything runs on stories. The deepest philosophies are told in form of stories. Is a story-crazed nation. So I'm one amongst that. I think it's a combined growing up of living on stories which are very dramatic to a big extent. I think that is where the inspiration for the images to come into my mind stems from. Thank you.
Question right up here in front.
If you do win Best Picture at the Oscars, what will you do next? How do you beat that?
Sorry, if
RRR wins Best Picture at the Oscars, Best
Okay.
Foreign Language Film,
okay.
where do you go next?
I think we'll straightly go for a party first. But whether RRR wins an Oscar or not, my plan for my next film is not going to change. Oscar will be a kind of a real boost for the morale, a real boost of energy for the entire unit, for the country itself. But that is not going to change the way I work. I constantly need to upgrade myself as a filmmaker. I have to fine-tune my tools of storytelling. That I constantly keep updating myself. That goes on the side. But what I want to say, how I want to say, is not going to change.
Well, don't upgrade yourself too much. It's not fair to the other filmmakers. We've got time for two more questions, okay? In the very back in the white shirt. Back with the white shirt.
Obviously, you portrayed the Brits not in a very favorable way. Then you said that the movie was very successful in the UK. Can you explain that?
Did you hear what he said? He said that the movie portrays the British Empire in not the most favorable light, but yet the film has been very successful in the United Kingdom. Any
See, I think ultimately what the audience want is a good story, is a nice emotional connect that and their money's worth and their time's worth. That is what the audience need. At least the way we start the film, people will immediately understand where we are placing the film, in which shade that we are going to run the film. I mean, in the beginning of it, that you can see a disclaimer card, but even if you miss the disclaimer card, this is not a lesson in history. It is a story. So audience in general understand that if I play a Britisher is playing a villain, they understand that I'm not going to say all the Britishers are villains. If I am going to say my heroes are Indians, they understand that I'm not saying all Indians are heroes. In this particular story, the particular guy is a villain, the particular guy is a hero, and the audience automatically understand. They might not be knowledgeable about everything, but emotional intelligence of the audience is very high. Once we understand that as a storytellers, we don't need to worry too much about other peripheral things. At least that's what I believe. I think that is the reason why it did well in UK, even though the villains are British.
Well, we got time for one more, and I think this fella right here in the front. We got to get quiet. You got to make it a good one because it's the last one.
Sure, thank you. Hi sir, my name is Kirti. So while narrating the Triple R story or directing the movie, did you get any kind of feedback or corrections from Ramcharan or from NTR? If so, what's that feedback is about?
For those who didn't hear in the back, he asked if feedback from the actors while making the film.
Not much. I mean, they have a lot of confidence in me. I worked with them before, and together we gave some of the biggest blockbusters of the Telugu films and in the Telugu films. And we have a long-standing relationship for like we knew each other for 15, 20 years, and they understand how I make films. They understand how much selfish I am about the film. So they understand that part. So they never interfered. They never asked any doubts. They just wanted to make sure that they are giving what I exactly wanted. That's the only thing they were asking me. Is this? Are we correct? I mean, if you go into a little bit detail, Tarak is a phenomenal actor. He knows that he's giving his best, and he knows that he's giving me what I want. And Charan is a different kind of a fantastic actor, and he constantly wants me to give him a nod that he has given me what I wanted. So basically, both of them gave what I wanted, and there were never any doubts or questions from them.
Well, listen, New York City, you all have your marching orders is to continue to talk up our